Welcome, one and all, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. A lot to get to on today's podcast. We'll talk about the latest in Browns practice, who's practicing, who's not, and who may be the starting quarterback for both teams in the battle between the Cardinals and Browns in Cleveland this Sunday. Plus, a legend in college basketball passes away. The baseball season ends with a first-time champ. And I'll pick all the games this week in the NFL, as I do every week. All the games will be picked. All your answers will be given right here in the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers.
You're watching Adam the Bull on the Bet Rivers Network.
Let's jump into what's happening with the Browns. We'll start there. Deshaun Watson practiced yesterday for the first time in a couple of weeks. Remember, he got ruled out on Wednesday last week after leaving the game against the Colts early after 5 plays where he looked like he couldn't possibly throw. On Tuesday's podcast, which I put out Tuesday afternoon after the trade deadline, I obviously was angry about the Browns not making a move at quarterback. A lot of people suggested, well, maybe the reason they're not making a move is because they think Deshaun Watson's going to be ready to go. Well, apparently that's the case. However, as I said Tuesday, I'll believe he could play at a winning level when I see it. Now, if he comes out there, if he starts this Sunday, which possible because he did practice on Wednesday, and he balls out, he plays like a winning quarterback, okay, Browns were right and I'm wrong. I'll be happy to say it. I'm not afraid to admit when I've made a mistake. However, I don't have a lot of optimism for that. I saw a couple people, my man Hayden Grove from Cleveland.com, saying, well, the throws looked sharper yesterday. Okay, I mean, I feel like everybody was saying that when he was practicing before the Indy week, and now we're going to say, well, but they look sharper this week. None of it matters. What he does in a bubble indoors, I don't care. On Sunday, it's actually not going to be that cold. It's not going to be controlled climate in a bubble. It'll probably be like 50-something degrees at game time. Is he going to play? I don't know. Can he play at a winning level? I find that hard to believe right now. First of all, he wasn't playing that great before he got hurt. Now, he did play well in that Titans game. Then he got hurt, and we haven't seen him. We've barely seen him play since then. He's thrown 5 passes, and they didn't look good. And that was just 2 weeks ago. So I find it hard to believe that he's going to play at any kind of high level when 2 weeks ago he looked like he could barely throw the ball. But crazier things have happened. Deshaun Watson's a tough guy. He's a great athlete. And maybe he is able to bounce back quicker. I do think even if he does play on Sunday against the Cardinals, we're kind of going to be holding our breath the entire time. Speaking of holding your breath, we'd all like to win $10,000. That'd make you hold your breath, right? Get extra value this football season with Bet Rivers Squares. Win up to $10,000 in bonus money. I'd love to win $10,000 in bonus money, but I'm not eligible. You are. Bet $10 in same-game parlays on any game with the Squares icon to earn a square. We don't know who's starting for the Cardinals this Sunday either. Josh Dobbs had been their starter. He's traded to Minnesota. Kyler Murray's been hurt since the middle of last year. He's close to coming back. I would assume he's going to be active. We don't know. It does look like Clayton Tune, the rookie who was drafted, I can't remember now if he was drafted 1 pick before DTR or 1 pick after. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But I know they were drafted back-to-back, I think 199 and 200. Clayton Tune probably the starter. They also have a veteran journeyman, Jeff Driscoll, on their practice squad. So if Kyler Murray's ready to be activated, then I would think they'll start him. If he's not, then he'll probably remain. They have to activate him to the roster by next Wednesday, not this week. And so it's possible he starts. It's possible he's the backup. It's possible he's not even activated, and they go with the veteran Jeff Driscoll as the backup. We'll see. The Browns, we do know Kevin Stefanski said yesterday it would not be DTR. He announced yesterday that if Deshaun Watson cannot go, they will remain with P.J. Walker as the quarterback. I have beat up P.J. Walker the last couple of weeks. I don't want to pile on. Let me just say this about P.J. Walker in a positive frame of mind, because I've been very negative about him, which is fair. He's not a very good quarterback. But I want to say something positive about P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker has played his ass off, okay? He has been a grinder. He's fought. and scraped for every opportunity he's had in the NFL. I'm sure the guys respect him. He's a tough guy. He plays hard. He's not out there as he doesn't look scared when he's out there. It doesn't look like the moment's too big for him. He's just not that good a quarterback in compared to other NFL quarterbacks. Compared to most human beings, he's a great quarterback, but compared to NFL quarterbacks, he's not. But I respect him. I don't know the man personally, but I respect him. And I think I've been trying to work on my language when it comes to players. Sometimes we can be kind of heartless and callous, and you don't think of players as human beings sometimes when you're just talking about them all the time. And so, I'm trying to soften up the language a little bit. You can make a point, which I have on PJ Walker without being too mean to the guy personally. So, there's, again, I respect the effort, but the talent's just not good enough. And I think the Browns, if Deshaun Watson can't go, I was hoping they'd give DTR another shot this week. But obviously that's not going to happen. They just don't feel like he's ready to play, even though when they traded Josh Dobbs earlier in the season, the assumption was that he'd be ready to play if necessary, but clearly they felt like he wasn't. They threw him in that game. They put him in a bad spot against Baltimore. He was lousy in that game. And now they've said, well, we can't do that again. So we'll keep going with P.J. Walker, who in his career has 6 touchdowns, 18 turnovers, and for this season has 1 touchdown and 6 turnovers. At least he threw a touchdown this past week. They're playing the Cardinals. The Browns, if you look at the latest Bet Rivers, a point spread on this game, I just looked at it about right before we started the podcast. Browns are an 8-point favorite at home. They should win this game even with P.J. Walker. Now, if Kyler Murray ends up playing, that's going to change things. It'll be his first game in a long time. The Browns will still be favored, but that line will move if Kyler Murray plays. But the assumption is that he won't go this week. So the Browns get a break. That it's one more week before he goes. If I had to bet today, on whether or not Deshaun Watson plays, I was going to quickly say no, but just with the Browns and this whole situation, you never know. I'm going to say that Deshaun Watson is not going to play, but I don't feel strongly about that. It's entirely possible that they announce today that he plays. It will probably be a last-minute decision. It's not a great situation. Even if he's close to ready, I'd almost rather sit him this week and then use him next week against Baltimore. Although, on the other hand, you could argue that maybe he needs to get his feet wet, I guess, or re-wet. Pause a little bit, before he plays a really good team at Baltimore, and what a good landing spot, but one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in football, in Arizona. It's a tough call. In the end, it depends how he feels. Listen, if they feel like he can make the throws, they're probably going to start him this week. They did that 2 weeks ago. It didn't go well. Now, they ended up winning the game anyway, but it didn't go well for Deshaun Watson. Hopefully, if he does somehow play this week, it can't go really much worse than it did against Indy. I guess he could get knocked out after 1 play instead of 5. I do think the Browns are going to win, and I do think they'll cover, even with P.J. Walker. Now, I got to make this pick on Thursday. I'm assuming it's going to be P.J. Walker against Clayton Tune. If it's P.J. Walker against Clayton Tune, I like the Browns to cover. If it's Deshaun Watson against Clayton Tune, I like the Browns to cover. If Kyler Murray plays, I might take the Cardinals with the points, but the points would move. Certainly if I heard Kyler Murray was playing and the line was still 8, I would probably jump on it there. But I just think the Cardinals are going to have a really hard time scoring in this game with a rookie quarterback and the Browns defense that overall has played pretty, very well. So I'll take the Browns -8 in this game. I got them winning something like 24-10, 24-9. I think the Browns will score enough. They'll run the ball a decent amount. The Cardinals are really bad. And so if P.J. Walker is going to have a decent game, if he can't have a decent game against Arizona, I don't know when he can do it. It felt like last week he had a decent game, right? And he still had 2 interceptions, a fumble, and completed less than 50% of his passes. And that felt like a decent game for him. If he's going to have a real, by normal measures, decent game, you'd think it would come this week. We shall see. But as this podcast is being recorded, as of now, we don't know for sure who's starting for either team. I gave you the information that we have. Deshaun Watson was throwing yesterday in camp. It is entirely possible, but I'm going to go with the Browns. I'm taking the Browns -8. I think they're going to win this game, even if Kyler Murray wins. Even if Kyler Murray plays, I think the Browns will win. The Browns should win. I think if Kyler Murray did play, the Cardinals are more likely to keep it a game, though. Certainly. I'll get back to football in just a few minutes. I'm going to pick the rest of the games this week based on the Bet Rivers point spreads. Congratulations, though, to the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers World Series champions for the first time. Became the first team in the history of baseball to win all 11 road playoff games, which is amazing. To go a perfect 11-0 on the road. It's a great story. You know, the Rangers got off to a fantastic start. And then for much of late July or August into early mid-September, they were playing lousy baseball. They kind of righted the ship just at the end. Finished tied for first and lost a tiebreaker to the Astros, so they were a wild card team. But the last wild card team won 89 games, and they won 90. So they barely made the playoffs in the end. But in the playoffs, they were a completely different team. They were back to the team that we saw in the first half of the year. Our old buddy here in Cleveland, my old buddy, Austin Hedges, part of a World Series championship team. And it's always cool when a team that hasn't won in forever. I'm hoping the Guardians will be that next team sometime soon. The Guardians are looking for a manager right now. They've met with Craig Counsell and a number of others. Craig Counsell, if you may remember, was my first choice to become the Guardians' new manager. I think in the end, he'll end up staying in Milwaukee or going to the Mets, but I like that the Guardians are doing the due diligence here. And the biggest story in the offseason, of course, is going to be what happens with Shohei Ohtani. What is that contract going to look like? How much will the fact that he is not going to be able to pitch in 2024 and only hit affect how big that contract is? I mean, it's still going to be a massive, massive contract, and it's going to be fascinating to see where he ends up. But congratulations to the Rangers. They had a great season. By the way, Marcus Semien and the Rangers played every single game the Rangers played this year, regular season and postseason. He played in every single game. That's an Iron Man right there. And congratulations to Corey Seager, who becomes just the fourth player in the history of baseball, along with Bob Gibson, Sandy Koufax, and Reggie Jackson, to win his second MVP. Those are the only 4 players ever to win multiple MVPs in the World Series. Multiple World Series MVPs. Quite clutch. Corey Seager, great addition. Nate Eovaldi, great addition by the Rangers. So the Rangers did a good job. To college basketball, where legendary coach Bobby Knight passed away. Listen, I'm not going to be a phony. I was never a fan of Bobby Knight. I didn't like his antics. I'm a fiery guy and a crazy guy. I thought he crossed the line a number of times, so I'm not going to come on and be phony and just say complimentary things. I'm going to put that out there because obviously I was not a fan. However, the man was, in my mind, even though I didn't like him, the best college basketball coach of all time. I mean, now, I shouldn't say of all time, of my lifetime. John Wooden was still, was coaching more before my time into my early years. John Wooden's probably the greatest coach of all time. Certainly Mike Krzyzewski and the others. But Bobby Knight, for the coaches I paid attention to when I was paying attention to college basketball, and as a kid in the 80s, I was really into college basketball. And Bobby Knight was a great coach. He was involved with the Olympic team. He certainly had an eye for talent. There's no doubt that the guy was a legend, an absolute legend in his sport. And not that his family's listening to me or anything, but condolences to his family for the passing of Bobby Knight. All right, on a much lighter note, let's go rapid fire with all the picks for this week in the NFL. Here we go. I gave you the Thursday night pick the other day. I already told you I like the Browns +8. Bringing up the latest BetRivers point spreads. Here we go. I'll give you all the picks, including let's include the Monday nighter. I'll do the Monday nighter on the Sunday podcast after the Browns game. Here we go. The 9:30 a.m. game in Frankfurt, Germany. Despite Mad Dog losing his mind, I'm just not going to say anything. I'll just keep it to myself. All right. The Chiefs were awful against the Broncos last week. I find it impossible to believe the Chiefs will be terrible 2 weeks in a row. Dolphins are really good. The home team, technically the Chiefs are the home team, but it doesn't really matter. The game's in Germany. I just don't believe Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will play poorly 2 weeks in a row. So as much as I like the Dolphins too, the game's close to a pick 'em. As I said, only a 1.5 point favorite Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs in this one. Sunday, 1 o'clock. Vikings at the Falcons. Falcons are a 4.5 point favorite. This game will feature, we were talking about the Browns and Cardinals with some weird quarterbacks. Falcons, Vikings. It's going to be Jaron Hall, a rookie from Minnesota, and Taylor Heineke, a journeyman veteran for Atlanta, going in this one. I'm going to go with Heineke. The Vikings have been scrappy, but they're done without Kirk Cousins. They can't. Now, they did trade for Josh Dobbs, but it looks like it'll be Hall this week. I'm going with Taylor Heineke. Good running game in Atlanta that should be better. They should be performing more. Defense has been pretty good overall. I'll take the Falcons -4.5. Seahawks at the Ravens. The Ravens are a 6-point favorite. Love the Seahawks in this one of my best bets. I know they got to travel across the country, but generally they've done well in these situations. They found a way to win last week against the Browns, even though their offense didn't play well. They made some plays down the stretch, and they've been a weird team. They've struggled in the red zone lately. I think they'll break out of that. This is a good, talented offense. I think clearly the Ravens could win this game, and the Ravens are playing very well. They blew out the Lions 2 weeks ago. But I think it's a close game. I think this is a field goal game either way. No way I'm laying 6 with Baltimore. Even if they win, it's going to be close. I'll take the Seahawks +6. I love them. Rams at the Packers. Packers are favored by 3.5. This game's tricky because we don't know who's playing for the Rams. Matthew Stafford is banged up. Packers can't score, though. I'm going to take the Rams in this one. Even if Stafford doesn't play, I like them to keep it close. And you got to lay 3.5. I'm not laying 3.5 with Jordan Love. They can't do anything. So I'll take the Rams on the road in this one, plus the 3.5. Commanders at the Patriots. This is an awful game. Both teams are not very good, but I'll go with the underdog again. The Patriots are terrible. They're the worst team in the AFC. The Commanders, I know they traded from their defensive line. I get it. Their offense played well last week. I like them to, again, at the very least, lose a close game, and you're getting more than 3. So I'll take the Commanders plus 3.5. Saints at home against the Bears. The Bears are a disaster. They made the stupid trade. They're trading for Montez Sweat. I don't understand. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Why would you give him a second-round pick that you could, if you want to spend a lot of money, you got a lot of cap space, you could have got him in free agency. I don't understand that. Saints are really starting to come together. Derek Carr's playing better. The defense overall has been really good. I'll lay the 8 with the Saints at home against the Bears. Last 1 o'clock game, Buccaneers at the Texans. The game's in Houston. The Texans are favored by 3. I'm not really – both these teams are going in the wrong direction right now. Buccaneers have lost 4 of 5. Texans just gave Carolina their first win last week. This is a tough game to pick. To me, this is a stay away. If I had to pick, I'll take the Texans at home, but I don't love this. This is my weakest feel of any of the games this week is the Texans. 4 o'clock games. Colts at the Panthers. What a boring game. I'll take the Colts laying the 2.5 on the road. Panthers are terrible despite getting their first win last week. Another awful game Sunday at 4 o'clock. The Giants and the Raiders. The Raiders are a 1.5 point favorite. These are awful teams. The Raiders fired their coach. The Giants are a disaster. But Daniel Jones, I think, is going to play. I think. I can't, some of these quarterback situations are tricky. But last I checked, Daniel Jones was probably going to play. So if Daniel Jones plays this, now if the Tommy DeVito character plays, I'm assuming Daniel Jones is going to play this week. So I'm definitely going to take the Giants. This seems like a no-brainer to me. I know the Raiders at home, maybe they get fired up off their coach getting fired because McDaniels is a bum, but I don't know. This seems obvious to take the Giants here. I guess nothing's obvious with the Giants. Cowboys and Eagles, that's the feature 4 o'clock game. Eagles are a 3-point favorite at home against the Cowboys. Good game, but the Eagles, I believe in the Eagles having the Cowboys number. I'll take the Eagles -3. And finally, Sunday Night Football. Again, we'll save the Monday for the Sunday podcast. Sunday Night Football, Bills at the Bengals. Listen, the Bengals right now look like the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl before the season. They played as well as they can play last week against San Francisco, blew them out. They're at home. They've had the Bills number. I think the Bengals win the game, and if they do, they probably win by at least, 3 points. So I'll take the Bengals in this one. Love the Bengals here. I think they're going to win the game. Second straight quality win, this time at home. That's it for this week, or not for this week, because I'll be with you on Sunday. Remember, when you listen to the podcast, go, whether it's you can listen on Spotify, or you can watch here on YouTube, of course, Apple Pods, all the other places. But I like to feature Spotify and, of course, YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, the alert bell. You get alerts when I put out a new podcast. Please don't forget to do that. Hit that subscribe button. I'll be doing a podcast Sunday right after the Browns-Cardinals game. We'll react to that. That's it for now. Thanks to Brian Monzo for producing. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.